Hello everybody, and here it is, the R3D1 guide video. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this, and I know a lot of people are probably wanting to see this because this is quite the level. But is it actually as hard as people think it is? Well, the answer is, as with all things, it's only difficult when you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the practice. Here I am to help you understand this level a bit better, teach you some tricks, and help you get through this so you can finally beat it. Because half the battle is just knowing what you're doing in the first place. As for the other half, that's actual game knowledge, which hey, I can't give that to you. Good luck, have fun. You're gonna have to play through this game for quite a few hours to try and finally beat this level. Good luck, can't help you with that. But I am here to help you with the game knowledge. So, grab a snack, sit back, relax, because this is going to be quite the doozy ride of me teaching you the tips, the tricks, and everything you need to know to GTFO on R3D1. Let's get right into it. So, starting off with this, what should you be bringing into this level? Well, my recommendation would be bring in, for your primary weapon, either an SMG, an assault rifle, or the bullpup rifle. Of the three, I personally like the SMG just because even though it's a little bit less damage compared to the other two, it does have much deeper ammo reserves and it can be pretty useful. I did the bullpup rifle a lot on this level, but I found myself always running out of ammo with it, but with the SMG, I feel like I didn't run out of ammo too terribly often, so that would be my recommendation for your primary weapon. For your secondary weapon, I would recommend the combat shotgun. There are a lot of options in this game you can take, and while other ones do work, combat shotgun is what I found to be the most successful. It's good damage, it can kill small guys in one hit if you aim it properly, pretty decent ammo reserves, and it does take a bit of shots to kill big dudes, but even then, it does its job pretty well. The normal shotgun, while yes it can deal with big dudes easier, it doesn't really deal with small dudes any more effectively, and that's what you're mostly going to be dealing with. Stuff like the Hell rifle and all that too, while it could be useful, ammo is a bit of an issue, especially on a level like this. Sniper rifles too. While it could be useful for the scouts and the stuff you may face towards the end of the level, snipers really don't do you any good towards the beginning. But again, it is up to you and what you're comfortable with. As for your tool, there's a lot of discussion about what's the best combination of tools for this level, but I'll tell you what I did it with. I did it with one shotgun sentry, one mine deployer, and two C-foam launchers, which yes, that is a weird statement I did not think would be coming out of my mouth. Two C-foam launchers. It sounds very weird and it sounds like it's overkill, but it does make it a lot easier to do many of the more difficult challenging points in this level. Also, mine deployer, while that is probably the dominant thing you need in this level, you don't need two, and shotgun sentries just don't really cut it on this level that well. But that is what I would recommend for the loadout. An alternative one I have seen people use quite a bit too is a mine deployer and triple turrets. I haven't experimented with that too much, so I haven't done it. But now that we've talked about what you're going to want to bring into the level, let's start talking about the level itself, zone by zone, and everything that you need to do. So starting off, before we even talk about the zones, actually, something in general for the entire level. Stay grouped for the most part, and grab resources when you can. There's a ton of resources everywhere, and you're going to need them. Grab them, don't be afraid to use them on yourself if you have room for it and you don't overcap, but also make sure you're distributing it to other people. When it comes to tool stuff, your C-foam will need quite a lot of it. The shotgun sentry, it can use some, but I wouldn't say, don't worry too much about focusing on the shotgun sentry. The C-foam really is going to be where most of your tool refills go. If anything, if you find like 5-use, 4-use tool refills, and anybody can hold on to them, I would recommend let the seafoam launchers hold on to them. That way when it comes to certain points, they can use it or use seafoam, refill themselves, and keep on using more of it instead of having to run to a person and get a refill from them. Also, keep an eye out for fog repellers. Fog repellers are going to be very useful on this level, as well as seafoam grenades. If you find seafoam grenades, don't use them except for the few points where I recommend it, due to the fact that they do make life a lot easier for you. But that's really all I need to talk about with the level as a whole, so now we can talk about the specifics with zones. Spawning in, you're going to hear something that might be a bit familiar to you from C1. That would be an error alarm. Yep. Beginning of this level has an error alarm that will go off until you take the neonate that you've been messing with this entire rundown and implant it where it needs to go. However, it's going to be quite the journey to get to that location. Spawning in, everybody has a job they need to do ASAP. One person needs to go into the room in front of you and head to the left side of it and open the door in the back left corner immediately. This will be very important for the alarm door that you're going to be doing next. The second person needs to go to the right side of the room and open up the door there. This will make the blood door behind it much easier. Third person needs to go to the terminal and ping or query where your keycard is going to be, which it'll either be in zone 389 or 390. My recommendation, just simply do list key or list space key space 389. If it doesn't appear, it's in 390. However, do check the number on that keycard when it does appear. I mention this only because it's actually happened to me 2 or 3 times now, where I list key 389 and the key is called 389, but it's in zone 390. That's sort of a flaw with the listing system, so do pay attention just so you don't ruin a run by making a simple mistake like that. The fourth person should pick up the neonate, if there are no enemies in the main room that is, and walk with the person to the terminal and defend them. With this error alarm, 4 enemies will spawn roughly every 30 seconds in any of the rooms, and a big dude will spawn about 5 to 10 seconds later, and you'll have to deal with it. The issue with it, especially right off the bat though, is you only have 4 rooms they can spawn in. 4. But guess what? You have people running to all of the different rooms. It's very common, because you split up quite a bit, enemies will spawn right on top of you. And this is why you want to defend the terminal person. They don't know if a big dude spawned right behind them, and I've had too many runs where that does occur. So make sure if somebody's on a terminal at any point in this level, somebody is defending them and keeping them safe. This is also why you should try not to split up too much right off the bat, due to the fact that you will force enemies to spawn on top of people if you do so. If you all stay near each other, the odds of it are much smaller. Now, if there are enemies in the first room, run through them anyway. Make sure those 2 doors are preserved, because that's the most important thing. If there are enemies in the room, make sure you clear them out before you go for the terminal. While the people on the terminal, you can also clear out the next 2 rooms and make sure there are no enemies left and collect resources along the way. Once you know which zone your keycard is in though, you can get ready to set up for that alarm door. Whether the keycard is in zone 389 or 390, the setup will be the same. Enemies will never come from the east side of the room due to the alarm, or the alarm door. The natural alarm going off in the background sometimes will spawn them from that direction, but never the alarm door itself, even if you're in the north one. So, the best way set up for this is you don't even have to worry about the east side doors. Leave them open, leave them closed. I'd recommend leave them open just in case the error alarm wave spawns in there. You don't want them busting those doors down. But west side door. Place your shotgun sentry sort of like this, facing towards the door. Seafoam the door. Place a mine here and here. This is good positioning so that it kills a lot of the enemies without having an enemy run through, blow one mine up, and then step into the other one. Because that's the thing, if a mine blows up an enemy that's running, the corpse will fly into or fly forward a little bit and it might set off another mine. So make sure you set them far away enough from each other that that doesn't happen. Also, make sure if enemies spawn in the room with you due to the air alarm, they don't step on the mines in time, so kill them quickly. When you're ready, throw the switch and do the alarm door. There's a full team scan, a big red scan, and 4 small red scans, and that's it. Once you have unlocked the door, do not open it, kill all the enemies that are coming through. If you do this fast enough, then you will finish the scans before the enemies even bust down the doors. But once you're done, you can head into zone 389 or 390, whichever one that has your key in it. Let's talk about zone 389 first. This zone is my favorite of the two. Now, these zones are very dark, and it's very easy to walk into enemies without realizing it, and also the wave of enemies may spawn from inside of here and wake up future rooms by banging on the doors. Just keep your ears peeled and stay together, that way you know where enemies are coming from and you lessen the chance of them spawning on your head. If you all split up into different rooms, somebody's gonna get ambushed. Go to the right immediately though. There's a small room and there is a chance for a locker, and that locker has a chance for your key card. If your key card's in there, you are done and you're out of there. Don't scrounge these zones for resources. It isn't worth it. You can come back later when the alarm is turned off and get them then. If your keycard is not in the room to the right, head to the left instead. Go down there and follow that hallway and you'll find a terminal here. Use this terminal to figure out where your keycard is by pinging it. The reason for this is it could be in zone A, which is very wide and has a lot of infectious fog, which makes it hard to see. It could be in zone E, it could be in C, or it can be in D. If it's in C, head south of the terminal, 2 rooms. If it's in E, head south and then west. If it's in A, head back into the main room and just go throughout the entire area. Get your key card, and as soon as you get it, get out of there. If your key is in 390, then it actually might be a bit easier as well. However, it could also be much more difficult. For this zone, you can either head to, well, in this zone, there are 3 areas I've only ever seen the keycard spawn. So you can either just take the route and check all of them, or you could check the terminal. Terminal is sort of out in the open though, in the giant room, so I wouldn't recommend it unless if you have people defending that person on the terminal. The path you could take is head down the right, get any boxes you find there, head north when you get to the door, and then keep heading straight north for that door. Your keycard might be there. If it's not there, head to the west of that room and it might be in that area. If it's not there either, exit the 2 rooms, and when you exit out of the second one, head straight to your right down a staircase into infectious fog. Head to the end of the pathway and there's usually a box there with your keycard. If it isn't in one of those 3 spots, congratulations, you've had a run that I've never seen before, where a keycard spawned where I have no idea where it is. Go to the terminal and ping where it is in that case. Of course, keep in mind there are going to be a lot of enemies, it's going to be hard to see, so be careful when you're moving through here. In all honesty, it might be worth it to just walk into the room, shoot a bullet, and then walk out and just let the enemies come to you, rather than charging headfirst into potentially 3 big strikers. But I'll leave it up to you. Everybody's way of handling this differs, and there's really no right or wrong way to do it. Once you get your keycard though, get out of here fast, because the longer you dawdle, the more resources you end up spending, and the quicker you are to a painful death. Dealing with the blood door to get into zone 391, it doesn't really matter with the north door. That one can be broken, open, shut, whatever. Don't worry about it. The south door is the important one though. If this door broke down earlier at any point, you may want to consider restarting your run due to the fact that this door makes this blood door incredibly easy, assuming you know how to set it up right. So for this, your shotgun sentry, it's not too terribly important, which you'll probably hear me say that quite a bit actually in this level, is it's not too terribly important. It's like a health syringe, you know, you get a small amount of health, but it's not too terribly much. Shotgun sentry helps out, but not too terribly much, but it's better than really anything else. Shotgun sentry, place at the base of the blood door and face it towards the door you're going to shut. Your mines, place one on the blood door here, which is the classic spot. Place one parallel to the door you're shutting on your side of it, and place the other 2 like this. These mines will make it so that when enemies come through the door initially, it blows up most of them. When they break down the door, the two here will immediately blast all of the hybrids and every enemy, and then the mine parallel will kill any survivors or anybody who's just lacking behind a little bit, and then you're good. Stand up behind the glass or back a little bit further just so enemies do walk up there, that way you also don't get spammed by the hybrids, and once you've killed all of the enemies and you're ready to go, you can head through. Also actually, make sure you're watching behind you. Keep in mind, there's always the error alarm enemies are going off that can spawn anywhere. They may spawn behind you, and the last thing you want is for enemies to sneak up while you're focusing your attention on the blood door. Once all that's done though, you're gonna have more jobs to do in 391. Person number 1 and 2, their job, pick up the neonate, the other person defends them as they go through the door. You're gonna head through, follow the right, and pretty much follow the right side of the room the entire way. Ignore the warden door, you're coming back to that later. The other two people though have very important jobs. They need to get to the southeast door as fast as they can. Reserving this door will make the warden door you have to do later much easier. However, there is a hack lock on the door. Get to it as fast as you can and do your best to open it. If you have lock melters, use them. If you don't, try to hack the lock quickly. If enemies start banging on the door and you aren't done with the hack yet, then either let the door just get broken open, or if you're able to and you're willing, spend a little bit of seafoam to buy the door some time and then open it once they break the seafoam off. I have done runs without this door, I have done runs with it. While it makes it easier, it is not imperative. As for the door to the north, it's sort of a similar thing. You could open it, but I have found that of all my runs, which there were many, very rarely do enemies ever spawn up there or break through that door in particular, so you don't have to worry about that one too much. Now, collect resources in this room. It is a big room and there could be a lot of resources, so sort of take a breather here and collect some stuff while still getting chased by enemies. As for the rest of Zone 391, through that door you opened down in the fog, have one person go in, shoot a bullet, and run out. The reason for this is of the next two rooms you go through in this zone, one of them will have a ton of enemies while the other has very little, or both of them will have a mediocre amount. Shooting will bait them out, which will be good, because otherwise you have to run through infectious fog and then you're head first with a giant room of enemies. Shooting baits them, they go up the ladder one at a time, and you can deal with them much easier. Of course, watch your back while you're doing this. Once you've cleared out the room, all 4 people are heading through. 1 person with the neonate, 3 people to run ahead, or 2 people to run ahead and 1 person to defend the neonate. Keep in mind they can't run, so don't let them get flanked from behind and killed easily. Now, just like before, common trend you'll be noticing in this level, saving more doors. There's a door to the southeast and the northeast. The northeast one isn't as important. I would recommend opening it just to make sure it doesn't get busted down. Southeast, same thing. The next room is going to have an alarm door that will take a little while to finish due to the large amount of giant red circles that are in the scans. You want to make sure both of these doors are preserved while you're setting up because again, big room, tons of resources. Collect yourself, grab some resources. Also, make sure you have fog repellers by this point. If you don't, then either you are very unlucky or you happen to just miss them and it might be worth it to go back and grab some, or you could push on without them. Either way honestly works. How you want to set up for this? Sort of similar to before. Your shotgun sentry is going to be at the southern door. This is where your defenses will be. So when you're ready to set up, shut the north door, make sure no enemies are pathing up there already though to kill you, and head down to the south door. Set up your turret on the outside facing towards it, and see from the door. Now, as you shut it, somebody should be up above, hitting the alarm door. The full team scan comes down below, so you're going to want to open it while you're doing the setup, that way you can be more efficient with your timing. Shut the door, seafoam it, place a mine parallel at the base of the door, and then maybe 1 or 2 more in that little hallway, space them out a bit so the same enemy doesn't set off multiple, and get to that full team scan. Now this is where it gets a little bit iffy, and it's mostly just experience to tell you what to do here. not so much me. The thing about it is you pretty much want to re-seafoam that door over and over and over and over again until you're done with all the scans, because getting flooded in this room by enemies will kill you quickly. But you have to do a full team scan. I would say, depending on how far away from that southern door the full team scan goes, depends on how much you should aim for. If it's close to it, try to get about 50 to 60% of the scan done before you go back to re-seafoam the door. If it's further away, try to get about 40 to 50%-ish. Seafoam launcher, go back, re-seafoam the door, run back to the scan, same thing. Try to get the rest of it. If you only got 40% the first time though, only aim for about 70 to 80 though, because again, as soon as that door busts down, stuff gets much harder. If it takes you 3 runs to get that full team scan done, don't worry about it. Better than the alternative. This is also why earlier I recommended seafoam launchers try to hold on to tool refills if you can. This way, once you are seafoaming the door, if you run out, you don't have to run to a teammate, get a tool refill, and then go back. You can refill yourself. Once you finish the full team scan, have a dedicated seafoam launcher of the 2 stand next to that door and keep applying seafoam while the other 3 take care of the rest of the scans. My other thing with recommending on this is don't just do a full charge seafoam launch and wait for all the seafoam to disappear and then shoot it, because when you do this, the door does lose HP every single time, due to the fact that the seafoam doesn't actually reinforce the door right off the bat, so enemies can get a few hits off before the seafoam reinforces it. If you wait until then and you keep doing this, the door will break down earlier than you want. So just keep doing like 1/4 charges over and over again and just keep doing that. Just try to do them in different areas so that if it does hit the door and it globs up in front of it and not on it, you're not constantly spraying that same glob, and instead you're actually hitting the door. Once you finish this scan, then let the door break down open if it hasn't already, which in all honesty I expect that probably will by this point, and kill the rest of the enemies that are coming through. Go out, grab your turret, use a tool refill on it, make sure you at least have 1 tool refill charge for your turret by this point, grab your neonate and head into the next zone. Zone 396 is covered in infectious fog, but it doesn't have too many enemies thankfully. Go through and go to the left, or jump down and head to the left through the hallway there and go for the door. Open that door and head through into the room and go towards the right side of it. You'll see some stairs you can walk up to get out of the infectious fog, which is going to be good because not only can you take a quick breather, but you can kill any enemies that might be in the room or quickly closing in behind you. Also, if you have a fog repeller, you'll see the door directly to the south from up on that spot. Throw the fog repeller at the base of the door, that way when you're doing that full team scan, you're not getting infection. If you don't have one, then it's not a huge deal. Just, be quick and realize you're going to gain quite a bit of infection. You're not grabbing resources in 396, you're not messing around, you're just literally get through the zone as fast as you humanly can. Do not dawdle too long in here. Finally, we get to zone 397. Up the stairs to your left, there'll be a disinfectant station. There's also a ton of lockers throughout the rest of the room, and you'll have your place where you have to put the neonate in the center of the room. My recommendation, don't put it in right away. Place it next to it and then have some people go around, collect resources and distribute them, while some people watch the stairs and kill any enemies coming up. Also, when you're about to be ready, your turret person should be near the stairs. Once you've killed some enemies and you've grabbed your resources, put the neonate in, and then, once you're sure no enemies are going to come up, turret person go down the stairs, not all the way, go down just the first flight of it, and put it in the corner right about here, facing upwards the stairs. You want to do this because once you put the neonate in, a birther, or mother, whatever you prefer for terminology, will spawn in zone 396. This mother will come after you, obviously. But if you place the turret there in the corner, it will ignore it. If you place it in the middle, I will see it as sort of terrain and it won't pass through the turret, and it'll just stay down there forever until you pick the turret up, or you go down there and try to fight it in the fog. Placing in the corner will make it so it'll walk right past it. As for you, you want to try to stand right around here in the room. Standing here will make it so that the birther will walk up the stairs, but she won't come up all the way. She'll sort of stop towards the top of it, which will give the turret plenty of time to shoot it, and you can shoot it from an angle. Which this is actually going to be pretty good for you because this will give you an opportunity to kill it before it births. When it comes to the birther, a little trick is that what causes it to birth is either it getting attacked or it being too close to players. After all, it has no melee or any other forms of attacks. So the turret won't trigger the birth. You getting close to it and shooting it will, but if you're quick about it, you can kill it before. I would not recommend using C-foam on this. It's not really necessary, especially because it takes 2 full charges to completely C-foam her. Just shoot, kill the babies, and you're done with it. Once she is dead, you could finally relax and take a breather. You're now done with about 50% of this level, but thankfully, it's the hard 50% that you're now done with. Take a breather and relax and recollect yourselves. If you need, walk around a bit, get a drink or something. I'm saying this because if you're like me, you've probably been trying this same section for a few hours, and the last thing you want is to be mentally exhausted and screw up the next part. So take a little bit of a break, you know? Stay healthy. But once you're done with that, you can now get ready to move on to the last half of this level. So now that your error alarm is turned off due to plug in the neonate back in, this means 2 things. 1, the Warden door back in 391 is open, or not open, but it's accessible to unlock, and every zone is free to do resource grabs. Use the terminals you find in each zone to figure out how many resources are in each area. To make this easier, by the way, when you are grabbing resources in the beginning, try not to shuffle around resources too much. When you do that, sometimes it won't appear on the terminal again, so there could be stuff left over, but it won't appear because you changed it between locations. So try not to shuffle them around too much, or if you do, try to remember where you did it. Go back through each zone and collect resources and cap people out. Don't waste them because you're still going to need a lot of resources and you don't get a ton until pretty much the very end, but use as much as you can without over capping people and you're good. There is a fog repeller in the neonate room, by the way, so you can use that to get back through the infectious fog without gaining infection. It will either be in the room or at the base of the stairs. There are also a few areas in previous zones you couldn't get to without gaining infection because they're completely covered by infectious fog. 391 being one of those zones. So look around, use terminals, grab what you want. If you feel like it, you can even go to the other alarm door you didn't go to earlier, due to the fact that they are quick scans, just 3 waves and that's it. But I would recommend looking at what's in that zone first before deciding, due to the fact that the side rooms, especially 390, don't tend to have a lot of stuff worthwhile. Plus, you need to do an alarm door, and you need to go into a zone that still has enemies in it, so might not be worth it. But it changes depending on the run. Once you are done with everything, and you are ready to go, head back to zone 391 and get ready to set up for the Warden door alarm. When it comes to the Warden door alarm, there are 3 entrances to this room. However, really only 2 of them will be taken. The one to the west, where the blood door was, and the one to the southeast, where that small door is through the infectious fog that you opened up. Or at least you hopefully opened up. If it is broken, it'll make things a little bit more complicated, but by no means impossible. Now, the door to the north, though, that one, it is very rare for enemies to ever come through there due to 2-room pathing, but it's possible it can. My recommendation to avoid anything like that, though, is in that room, there's obviously 2 doors. just shut one of them or both of them if they're both intact. If neither of them are intact, then it's no big deal. I won't change much, but figured I should mention it. The alarm door to the west. My recommendation for that is don't place any mines and don't place any seafoam or anything like that. Instead, just place your turret facing towards the ladder from where the door is, so it shoots enemies as they walk towards the ladder and as they're climbing up it. As for the east side, I would recommend place a mine or two down where the door is and seafoam the door. This will buy you some time and you don't need to worry about enemies too much. The alarm door is not too bad. It does have a few waves of it and enemies can get to you quickly, especially if they come from the west side, but honestly, if you've made it up to this point, this should be a cake, or this should be a piece of cake for you. Once you have finished the alarm door, use any resources you still have on you, and get ready to head through the Warden door. What's better than a giant, long corridor room with infectious fog? I don't know, add some big strikers, maybe some big shooters to it. That's pretty fun. How about a scout or two? 2 scouts, yeah, 2 scouts sounds pretty good. What more can we do though? I know. Sleeping hybrids. Yep, they're back. If you didn't play Rundown 2 and play E1 and get halfway through the level, then this is something completely new to you. Sleeping hybrids. Now, how the heck do you deal with these? Well, don't worry too much, it's not too complicated. 4 fully charged melee hits to the back will kill them. It does have to be to the back though, I believe. I've not been able to do much testing due to the fact that sleeping hybrids were incredibly rare up until this point. So I believe 4 fully charged melee hits to the back kill them. You could maybe do 3 to the back, 1 to the front, or 1 to the head, I don't know. Safe place, 4 to the back. But do be careful because this does complicate things, especially if there's an enemy near them, because you can't exactly split up your forces when all of them need to be dealt with the hybrid. Also, the scouts. This is a very long, lengthy room. However, there is a sort of invisible room divider halfway through the room. You will either have 1 scout in the beginning and 1 scout in the other area, or you'll have both of them in the other area. If you don't see a scout pretty much immediately upon opening your Warden door, it's safe to assume both of them are in the back area. Kill the enemies up on the beginning platform where you are, or the scout if it is there, and just clear out all the enemies. Melee syringes are your friend. You know, the little yellow syringes that you may have seen in A1. Well, those are back, just like the health ones in this level, and they help out tremendously. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've had 2 hybrids right next to each other, back facing towards me, and me thinking, how the heck am I going to do this? And then wait, melee syringe. Melee syringes make your melee do 3 times the amount of damage, which means all you really need to kill a hybrid is a fully charged hit to the back and then a light tap or 2 to the back and you kill them. Because of this, if you have 2 hybrids next to each other or a hybrid and a big striker, easiest way to do this is just have the dude with the melee syringe hit one of them while the other 3 hit the other, and then everybody just do quick light melee taps. As long as you're fast about it, you have a pretty good chance of not getting hit. Alternative as well though, if you don't have melee syringes, is use seafoam launcher. Don't forget, you can seafoam enemies. If you have 2 hybrids next to each other, seafoam one of them, kill the other one, and then kill the one of the seafoam before it breaks out. No biggie. Same thing with the scout. Seafoam the scout if you need, because shooting them in a room full of hybrids is not the best idea. Once you make it through here, make sure your fog repeller is still with, or the fog turbine is still with you, because this middle part does have a lot of infectious fog. There is a terminal you can use to find resources, although there won't be that many in 3092. And then you get to the second half of the room, which is a bit more complicated, especially if both of the scouts are down there. Every run I've made it this far, this room has been chock full of hybrids and big strikers. I'm talking easily 4 hybrids, 3 big strikers, or a combination of maybe 10 small dudes. This is a dangerous area, especially with double scout. Assess the room. The only advice I can give you is just look at what you can kill and what you can't. You see an enemy all by himself, isolated, go kill that one. You see two enemies really close to each other, but you can kill both of them without setting off the rest of the room. Do it. You see an opportunity or a way where a scout is pathing near an area where you can kill it without setting people off. Go for it. Just do it. Be careful. Don't be afraid to C-foam an enemy if you need to. Again, this is a dangerous room. Any room with sleeping hybrids and big strikers are dangerous to set off, especially if you're not able to run away, or if there's a scout as well. If you do set off this room though, this area here is a safe zone, or safe-ish. There are only two ways up, both being staircases. Just go to them, have two people positioned on each, and then just shoot enemies as they're coming up. Don't strafe so you don't shoot each other, but this is a safe spot to be in case you do accidentally set off the room and you don't get flanked nearly as easily. Once you have cleared out all 392, you can head to the security door, which is a basic scan sequence, and get to zone 393 and get ready to move on there. 393 is a safe, nice resource room that's absolutely terrifying with what you see all over the walls and ceiling. Yeah, lovely sight now, isn't it? For this, just go through and collect your resources. There is a disinfectant station in this zone, thankfully. There's a terminal as well, and there's quite a few resources. Use them and start filling people up. However, be mindful of tool refill. Just like back in B1, you don't want to use up all of it, or at least not all of it to the incorrect people, and I'll explain what I mean here. At the end of this zone, there's another Warden door. This one having 7 big red scans that you have to do. This one takes a while to finish. This is the longest scan in this entire rundown. You have to be careful with it. There's only one entrance to the room though, thankfully, which will make it easier. Your turret, I won't even bother placing down. With the length of the scan, you're guaranteed to hit the enemy limit cap that the game has put in for alarm doors. So having a turret out there, all it's going to do is kill a few enemies, waste all of its ammunition, and then those enemies will be replaced before you even finish the scans. And it won't really buy you any time on the door either, because obviously it can't kill them all before they get to it. So don't bother placing your turret out there and hold on to it. How you want to do the door: place 3 mines, sort of like how you see here. One facing towards the middle, and then the other 2 spread out a little bit to the left and the right. Mines blow up in a cone shape in front of them. Placing your mines like this will basically nuke the entire doorway when enemies finally do break that door open, which will give you some good time because it pretty much clears out an entire wave for free. However, you don't want to just simply let the door break. This is where your C-foam launchers are going to shine once again. What you want to do is do the full team scan. You'll be able to finish it because it's right next to the door, and then whoever has the C-foam launcher with the most in it, run to the door. You are going to re-C-foam that door over and over and over and over again until you finish pretty much all of the scans. Even if you're doing like 100% on tool refill, or for C-foam it's 100%, you'll probably only make it to wave 5 or 6 before the door finally breaks open. However, you don't want to run your C-foam dry, especially if you don't have a grenade at this point. Make sure both C-foam launchers by the end of this alarm door have 1 full charge in each of them, meaning about 20% or around 12 as the flat number on the C-foam launcher in the top right corner. You want 2 full charges from 2 different people, or 1 full charge from 2 different people. Even if you're only on like wave 4 or 5 out of the scans and you are too low on C-foam to re-C-foam it without going below what I've recommended, just let the door break open. The mines killing pretty much an entire wave will basically buy you enough time to do another full wave of scans, or even 2 before enemies arrive again. So don't be afraid, just make sure you hold on to that C-foam. I cannot stress that enough. You have enough room in this room to run around, so if need be, run and kite enemies while you're doing the scan. Don't die here, you're pretty much at the end, and it sucks if you die at this point. But once you've cleared out the alarm door, restock people, make sure you have at least 1, you really only need 1 C-foam charge for both C-foam launchers, so don't go over it. Any extra tool refill you have after that point, give to your mine deployer. And get ready for the final challenge of D1. Before opening the Warden door, you need to be ready, and everybody needs to know what they're doing. Your 2 C-foam launchers are going to already have their C-foam launchers fully charged. Just hold it. You can hold indefinitely, so don't worry. If anybody has fog repellers, preferably the people without C-foam launchers, or if you have C-foam grenades, make sure they're ready. Because when you open the door, you will see the Queen Birther behind it. This is basically GTFO's first boss. We had a mini boss back in BU2. This is basically the first boss. This thing has a ton of health and spawns in a ton of babies if it can get a birth off. I'm talking easily about 20 to 30 babies, so be very cautious of this. The best thing to do is when the door opens, person with the fog repellers, throw your fog repellers as far as you can into the room. The reason for this is a lot of people don't realize it, because sometimes you don't even see it with the birthers, is they'll spawn in a giant cloud of smoke that envelops a large area. It's impossible to see through it, and it makes it very easy for the birther to just skedaddle on out, and you don't know where it is, because they'll camp pretty much in the middle of it while still trying to avoid you, which just gives it more time to spawn in more babies. Fog repellers will make it so if this does happen, it will basically negate the effects of it as long as it's done near the fog repellers. Once the door fully opens, walk in. Don't crouch, don't run. She will automatically be set off a few seconds after the door opens, but running will make it happen faster, and crouching will make it so you don't get to her in time before she automatically wakes up. If you have a C-foam grenade, throw the C-foam grenade at her. With normal birthers, it's either 2 full charges or 1 grenade. I don't know if that applies to the Queen. I have not been able to test it. If you have, let me know in the comments. I'd actually be pretty interested to know that. But if you have a C-foam grenade, throw it at her, and then C-foam launchers, spray your C-foam on her too. However, while you're doing this, somebody needs to watch underneath her. It is possible she'll get off a birth before you cocoon her. And if this does happen, the person who's watching down beneath needs to kill the babies as fast as you can. If you do this fast enough though, she won't be able to get a birth off and everybody can focus on killing the blobs on her. Pull out those combat shotguns or wherever your secondary is and go to town on her. If you run out of ammo in that gun, don't reload, swap to your primary. It's much better to use up both of your guns completely than trying to reload, because that's wasting precious time. Because once that C-foam breaks off, you're not getting another C-foam charge on her unless if you are lucky and you have enough C-foam by the end of this level. And she's gonna birth very quickly. If she gets a birth off, and I don't mean like a partial birth, but a full-on birth, you will be overrun or overwhelmed. You cannot outrun those things. If they chase you, you have to fight. You can only outrun them if you actually have a decent amount of distance on them in the first place. But if you C-foam her up and you kill the blobs quickly enough, you can kill her before she births, and this will be a joke of a fight. But it does come down to how quickly can you do it, and a little bit of luck on whether or not she births right away. But that's it. That's all there is to that. Once you've killed the Queen Birther, you are finished with her. There's another terminal in the zone and a few more resources that you can use. But congratulations! You're not done yet! Sorry. I know I said that was the final challenge of D1. I lied. There's one more. At the far southern corner of this room, there's another blood door. You know, just a blood door. Yeah, just a blood door. That is not right. This, my friends, is one of the most BS final mechanics I've seen in this game. I like final mechanic twist, don't get me wrong. This is just troll though. Giving people a boss and then a blood door that has about 3 times the amount of enemies you normally see behind a blood door. Yep, that's right. This blood door is chock full of enemies. Thankfully, they're all regular strikers. There will be no shooters, no big dudes, no hybrids, or anything like that. Just regular strikers. However, there is so many of them. The best way to set up for this is where your turret will be pretty useful. Place your turret down at the base of the blood door, facing towards the right side. There's a bunch of columns in the room, but you basically going to hug the right side of the room, you know, not facing towards the blood door, but away, so the east side basically. You're hugging the east side. You're going to be back there defending. Place your turret facing that direction. Make sure you position yourself in a way you don't get shot by the turret. Then place a mine on the blood door, and then place mines along the wall. Spread them out enough that they don't get blown up by the same enemy. And if you have seafoam, go on ahead and spray seafoam across the floor. Although I would recommend you spray seafoam on the floor after the mines, not before them, because doing it before them will just seafoam enemies that could have run into the mine and blown up with the rest of the group. Use your primary weapon. Don't even bother with the shotgun unless they get close enough to you. I recommend use your primary, aim for the head. You really can't miss when there's that many of them, and shoot. When either they get close to you or you need to reload, fall back a little bit. Keep the distance. If you get too close to this giant horde of enemies, they will kill you very quickly. Keep in mind, their attacks do 12%. You have no invincibility frames, meaning if 5 of them get close enough to you and they all lick you at the same time, that is 60% HP you just lost within 1 second. So keep your distance. Flank them back as far as you need to until you kill every single one of them. But that's actually it. Once you have finished this blood door, you can walk through and get on your final scan. There's no trap, there's no like 5 birthers being spawned all of a sudden, nothing like that. No alarm, you're done. That blood door is the final thing. If you can make it past it, you are home free. Get on that scan and take your final sigh of relief as you have now known you have beaten R3D1, because that's the end of it. And there's a lengthy guide coming to an end. It was a pretty long one, but that's just what happens when these levels are this difficult or there's this much to talk about. I don't want to talk about just the bare necessities because, you know, maybe it'll help some people, but other people might want some more tips, but I obviously don't want to make them too long because then nobody clicks on them. So I try to find a balance, and I hope I did a good job with that. But before I end off this video, I do want to ask you all a quick question. Obviously with Rundown 3, my schedule has sort of been doing a video and then adding the guide to the end of it, as long as the base video and the guide itself weren't too long if combined together. But then in cases with like C1 and D1, where the videos were much longer, I didn't combine them. That way I didn't have like 2-hour videos, in case people didn't want to see both the level and the guide, or they just didn't feel like clicking on a 2-hour video in the first place. So I want to know if I should change it up though. Looking back at the C1 guide video, I noticed that it got quite a few more views than any of my other Rundown 3 videos. Obviously not the Ultimate Beginner's Guide, but everything else, it got quite a few more views in quite a bit faster time. I don't know if it's because it was a harder level and more people actually wanted a guide on it, or if it's because people who want guide videos don't see my other videos because all it really says is mini guide at the end, and they just assume that it isn't a guide video or whatever it is. So what do you guys think would be better, and what do you guys want to see? Do you want to see me continue the same schedule with Rundown 4, where I do the guide at the end of a video if it isn't too long, but maybe I should change it up to really make it known that, hey, there is a guide at the end of this? Or should I always do the guide videos separate, even if that guide video might only be about 5 or 6 or 7 minutes? If I was to do the guide video separately every single time, a few things would obviously change. For one, on the easier levels that maybe I would only have to do 5 minutes worth of explain to explain it all, I might talk a little bit more in detail about certain mechanics, or I'll include some stuff that I normally wouldn't include, just so it's not only a 5-minute video and maybe it's more like an 8 or 9-minute video, just so I really make sure I explain everything. The other thing also would be my upload schedule would have to be slightly different. With how it is now, I do a video every 4 days, and if I do a guide video separately, I try to do it within 2 or 3 days of that video, and then it's another 4 days for the guide video, or another 4 days for the next level video. That would be the schedule too if I was to do guide videos separately all the time. However, the main change for that would be, it would mean it would take longer for the actual level videos to come out, due to the fact that there would be an extra day or 2 buffer between level videos because I have to do the guide video. I can't do this full time, obviously, and I don't have an editor besides myself, so I can't pump these videos out as fast if I was to try to do that. I wouldn't be able to get a level guide out or a level video out every 4 days. I just want to know what you guys' opinion is. Even if you don't really care and you're indifferent, just let me know what you think would be a good way to do it, because I do want to grow this channel, and I especially want to get these guide videos noticed by people, not so much for me, but just to help people, you know, figure out how to do these really difficult levels a bit easier. And if doing the guide video separately every single time makes it easier for people to notice, or makes people more wanting to click on it because it's shorter, then by all means I'll do that. I just don't want to do that and then disappoint some of you guys, because now it's going to take longer for you guys to see me do the actual level itself and see the funny moments that occur during those. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you have another idea, or maybe I could do something else I didn't say, let me know what you think. At the end of the day, I make these videos to make you guys happy and to, you know, serve the purpose of the video, whether it be a guide, a funny video, a compilation, or anything like that. So your opinions do matter quite a bit to me. But that's everything. I won't go on more. I won't rant on. I'm not gonna get sappy and stuff. This is already getting a pretty long video, but let me know in the comments. Take a few minutes. I really do appreciate your feedback. And I appreciate the fact that in such a short time, I'm already getting quite a few people who are watching my videos and liking what I'm doing. It's really nice to see. So thank you guys. I'll see you all in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy in these trying times, and just, you know, enjoy life. Have a good day, guys.